worked with the players and what I worked on. So this player is Ashton Hagen. He's a former NBA player. I worked with him in China. He came to us straight from the NBA. And so it was basically shooting progress from September 24 when he came to March 25 until we started the playoffs. And so that is what I did. This whole presentation is what I did for him just to give him an idea of what can be later improved. And again, this is what you coaches have to understand that some players are not going to be super hard working. Some players will not be 100% committed. What you can do is do your work, share as much as you can with the player, and find a way to make the player buy in. So these are examples. First one, you can see here on the picture on the left that when he's picking the ball up, his fingers, right hand shooting finger, they're not even on the ball. And so shooting hand is basically not ready to catch. And as he keeps raising the ball up, his fingers will be keep moving on the ball. And so if you think game shots like this, when the player is going full speed, when the player has a defender coming at him, when he still needs to see and evaluate whether he's shooting or he's passing, when he's going to be having fans and when he's also going to be having a coach yelling somewhere by the side, you know that this type of shot is not going to give consistency. And so with the shooting, if you can keep each shot the same as the previous one, then you're on the right path to success. You're on the right path to stability. And so picture number two, you already can see that when he's having the ball in two hands, his shooting hand is already fingers are not moving. They're already in the position. They're already ready to shoot. And so also another thing, when working with the players, I'm trying to record them from different angles. This way, you can also show it the player because some of them can be visual learners. Some of them can get what you're saying and they can understand right away. And so, on the second picture, I'm explaining why hand placement is really important because one, if your fingers are moving on the ball on the shot, then the ball is not secure in your hands. Then when you get to your release spot, your wrist flick was not going to be consistent because your shooting hand will be always in a slightly different position. And then what it can lead to is going to be that the shot will be different each time you shoot, and eventually ball will hit different targets. And when starting to work with the players, also the question that I ask them when we're talking about shooting, I ask out of 10 shots, how many of them feel exactly the same? And this gives me an idea of how player is feeling about himself, but also gives me his honest feedback. And so the player, if inconsistent player who is inconsistent shooter, if he's saying that he's probably around on 4, 5, or even 6, then my goal is within a month get him to at least maybe 7. And this might not be the reality, but what's important for me is that he's feeling that it's getting to 7. So this will increase, at least raise the confidence of the player. So with Ash, we had a little goal. He was not the one who was willing to stay to shoot the 500 shots or 300 shots every day after practice. So I started really slow and I asked only 50 shots. With rebounder, 50 shots will usually take maybe 2 minutes. Without a rebounder, that's just me and him, it will take 5 minute max. So I thought this is something that every player can commit no matter how tired you are. And so this is exactly what happened. He agreed to do it. And so you can see I did a calendar. On a calendar, each day I marked. This way we can track it. And each day I wrote down when he returned to the team after the Chinese New Year, first team practice, the days that we shot. So, for example, in February, we only had 9 days, 9 days out of 28 where we were shooting. And if we take that there's some days for travel and some days for CBA Cup, it's basically we shot on 9 out of 20 days, which is okay at least to feel some progress. And so me showing him this would give him an idea that okay, I'm doing something, something at least better than nothing. And then CBA had good apps. They can help you with percentage. They can help you track the percentage. And so you can see it here. These were his percentages from different spots. He was definitely not a shooter, but my goal was to move him a little bit up because in October, in the first month of CBA, his shooting percent, his 3 point percentage was 8.5, and for 194 centimeter or 6'4", 6'5" point guard shooting 9% from the three, this is it's hard. It's really hard, and it's hard for you to get on NBA level, back on NBA level. And so I did month by month breakdown where I would give him a better understanding of how his percentage goes. And so you can see that October 13th and November 3, we played 10 games. He was 1 from 12, and it was 8%. So again, September, October, November was our training time, and the main goal to improve was just simply his pickup. I didn't want him. I didn't want to give him a specific percentage where he was aiming because guess what? If you give a player a specific percentage and you say, okay, you have to shoot 40%, now naturally players will start to overthink. So if I shot 0.4 and I'm keeping that 40% in my mind, then I might think, okay, to get it back to 40%, to reach my goal, I need to make 4 out of 6. So out of nowhere, player will create automatically will create extra pressure on himself where the pressure is really not existent. So instead of focusing on percentages and how many shots he needs to make during the game, I would simply focus in on the habits that will allow him to make more shots. And at that point, it was just the pickup habit, make sure his hands are perfectly placed, exactly like I showed in the previous slide here. And so I'm sending him the same video with the shooting progress, and then boom, we go to December after the break. He already played 12 games, and he's already 34% with shooting 40 shots. So compared to the first month, the amount of games was almost the same. It was just 2 more games, but he shot at least 3 times more 3 point percent and 3 pointers, and also his percentage was X4. So then we have no extra training, no shots, nothing. In January, again, 11 games. He shot much less. He shot twice less shots, and his percentage dropped down to 25. Now, I'm sure you agree with me that 25 is greater than 8%, but again, it's not 34. And so I'm doing all that to convince him that we're all professionals, even if you will not want to spend a lot of time on a court, we can at least spend these 50 shots to make sure you can level up your percentage. And that's what happened. February was a month where we had CBA Cup and the players were still having some more time for training. We did that challenge with 50 extra shots. You can see it here. You can see how much we did. And then boom, March he's again at 36%. And so 8, 34, 25, 36. And usually 3, 4 weeks after his consistent training, his 3 point percentage was going up. And this is how, if you break down the season, this is how a player like that will end up with 3 point average of maybe 25, maybe 24. Where if you can convince the player that, okay, we can keep working on it a little, but consistently, you can still feel that steady progress. And then me, when the season was over, I was always, no matter whether I'll be working with a player in the same team next year, or I'll be working with him individually through the off season, or I may not be working with him at all. My goal is still give him the feedback, give him the understanding. Maybe it will help him later on to figure out what he can do to improve. And so with him, the feedback was um, progress, add more movement, and make sure it's not just a set shot. Here, the progression for me is simple. One second, let me stop it. Here, the progression for me is simple. You will start with just regular spot ups. Then on the spot ups, you can add footwork. Then you can add some forward movement, forward backward movement. Then you can add lateral movement before the shot, and then you can add rotations. So basically, what we're talking about is we're talking about three planes of motion: sagittal plane, front back, frontal, left right, and transverse, where you're able to rotate the body. And so to me, background in kinesiology and exercise science really helps. And I think for a basketball coach, if you can get that, you'll look a little bit differently at training. But for me, if I can break down the shooting movements in these three pieces, then it will be a lot easier for me to one, track player progress, and two, don't give him too much. Because if I have someone who can't control the balance when he's shooting laterally, to me it's really pointless on my end to expect that he'll be shooting well off rotations because off the rotation it's harder for you to control the balance. It's more likely that the player will start to lean rather than when he's moving laterally. And so with having these thoughts in mind when you go from spot up to front back sagittal plane, laterally to transverse plane with the rotations, this can give a much smoother progress for a player where he feels that he's slowly stepping up and he's moving up with his shooting. We still have about 7 minutes, 5, 7 minutes. I want to finish the I
Thank
want
you,
to finish
Coach.
the previous.
Yeah, go ahead. I've got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
So I like your point that when you're making goals mid-season for a player, it's more about the habits than the percentage. Is there, when you're working with a player on their shot, just I guess all the players you've worked with, is there one habit in particular that you think like this is if they get this down, their shot improves? I don't mean for a specific player. I mean like just kind of what
In
habit
general.
the most over everyone you've worked with, whether that was hand placement or their shooting gait, their
Yeah.
footwork, or the release point, whatever that might be.
Yeah, there are two of them, and these are the ones that I'm talking about. One is the energy transfer, how they're able to pick the ball up and keep moving it up. This is really big, and two, just seeing how they pick the ball up, where their fingers are, just making
Okay.
sure they have good control. This usually something that gives the fastest progress, the fastest results, and also this is something that players are open to commit because you don't tell them, "Hey, your elbow's out, get it in," and they're like,
Yeah.
"Get the fuck out of here!" Like, what are you talking? No, I don't want to listen to you. So when you're not touching their form, especially when you just met, these two these are something that really helps. And to me, it's the moment where players like, oh, that feeling. They're like, oh, oh, it feels a lot. Okay, because it gives them the feedback that, oh, okay, he might know something. And
Yeah.
so you really starting to grasp that respect from the player because especially as a non-American coach on the international team, when you get American guy coming or even NBA guy coming, they're looking at you like, all right, I played in the league. What can you teach me?
Got to
And
win
you're
their
like,
respect,
okay.
right?
And you're like, okay, got to earn the respect, guys. Got to start with zero. totally fine
Yeah,
with me, but there have to be some icebreaker that will really help build the trust.
that makes sense. One more question for you. When you're working mid-season, just with a player on a shot, how often do you work contested shooting versus just on air, no defense shooting?
It depends on the player. If this is someone who's a really good shooter, like let's say that's you probably know QJ Peterson. QJ Peterson played in China. He's 6 foot. Last season he played in Illawarra in NBL and then back to CBA. He's like really good shooter. Um, with him, it's pointless to work this on no defense. It has to be somebody right here. So with him, if I know we're not focused on mechanics, we're not focused on the balance, or sometimes we only focus on like a little bit on the balance. With him, it's more recreating the game shots. And so with him, it's going to be more contested shots. Where on the opposite, if this is the player who's still struggling or who may be shooting like 30%, and I see that improving a habit is more important than me having the hand and having a contested shot, then I'll go with uncontested shots only. So I would love to have contested shots all the time, but if this takes away the attention of the player, if he stops thinking about that little detail that allows him to make more shots, instead he's worried about the person in front, then I'll try to go more with uncontested and focus on the habits. Where
Okay.
it's still um, there's no universal answer. It really depends on the player, but there have been guys who we focus on the little details, but then when I talk to the player and ask, okay, my hand is up, does it bother you? And he will say no. And I'll say, okay, what bothers? If I touch you, does it bother? He said, no, but if you reach in closer to my shooting elbow, then it will bother me because I don't know. Like, and I get probably the player when shooting dynamically, he can't feel how far the defender's hand is here. And he might just naturally start doing this a little just to make sure nobody's touching. And so, with one of the players, what we did, it was just shooting, and I would just always hear like I had my hand. I was just playing with my hand over here to make sure player feels comfortable and that he can see with peripheral that okay, nothing bad is gonna happen. I can keep shooting because I did experiments where we would shoot 50 shots, and if it is something where I'm contesting up, the player will be making 85 to 90% in practice. Whether if I'm like right around the elbow, the percentage can drop to like 45, 50, where it's like all the same shots. And so I'm trying to be more analytic with it, where I can think analytically. I can watch and compare different feedback from the player, and then make up my training.
Makes sense. Thank you. I got
Yeah,
a couple of questions in the chat.
yeah.
First one, how do you deal with a shooting slump? So rather increasing your percentage instead, you got a good shooter at the start of the season, but his percentages dip in the middle of the season. How would you deal with a slump?
I want to have a talk from the player, and I want to have the feedback for sure. I don't want it to be me making assumptions just by watching film or just by watching him in a game, because very often us coaches we think we know how the player is feeling, where in reality we're not, and so there's no better feedback than the communication with the player. And if you are able to build at least some relationships with the player, if you can talk to him about it, you can also get his feedback. And us coaches, we definitely should have more knowledge about training, about the shooting, about basketball in general than the players. But they'll have a better feel than us because they are the players. They are the ones who dribbling the ball, passing and shooting. They're the ones on the court. So if I can get two, one, get my feedback, get my points, and also two, get the feedback from the player to see how he feels. Then later on, when I go back, I can find the intersection, find out the conclusion, and then start working. So it really can be different. Some players don't. Some players get the shooting slump because they feel they don't get enough shots, especially when the travel is intense. One, some players may not be conditions. So we add more shooting after some movements to add more intensity to it. Or three, players that will not give me the feedback like Basi, I'm feeling I'm not picking the ball up well. The energy transfer, no, and I'm not expecting them to be like that. I'm just asking, okay, when you're missing, how you feel? And player can say, it just I feel like I don't have control of the ball. I'm like, okay, do you have any idea why? He's like, I don't know. It just feels different. I don't have control. So me getting this feedback, I'm saying, okay, I got it. Now let me go watch film. Let me record him. And at times, depending on the team, I have a freedom to pull up my phone and record somebody in practice. And the head coach will understand I'm not here on Instagram chatting or whatever. I'm just pulling up the phone, record one video of different angle, and then this way I can watch it. I can see, okay, what's the problem, what potentially can be the problem, and how I can help it solve. And so the number one response here is go talk to player, get his feedback, and two, based on your knowledge and the player feedback, figure out what's be beneficial for him. But here also, you have to understand what you do, what is the chances, what are the risks if you help a player, but also what are the risks if it's going to get worse. So you want to make sure you eliminate those risks that the shot will get worse. So once you do that, it will be easier for you to design the workout, to design what you want to do with the player.
Okay, thank you. You got another one. Do you think that vertical
Uh-huh.
energy transfer can instantly impact a player's shot in a positive way?
I think yes, but vertical energy transfer in that, as I understand it, it's more ball energy. So it's meaning the ball is going up rather than the body like jumping high. Because some players, especially the farther we move from the basket, they don't need to shoot a lot. They don't need to jump a lot. They don't need to jump high because it's going to take a lot of their energy, and the shot will not feel as effortless. And also, if we look at it this way, let's say you're shooting 200 shots and you're always shooting threes like going up like this instead of just going up with little shots. Both jumps will give you energy, but the first one will give you energy for the shot. But the first one will be more consuming. The first jump will take a lot more from you. And so if you shooting 200 shots, still creating energy vertically from the ball, but not jumping too much, and you shooting, let's say, 1 meter away from the three, then you'll be able to shoot 300 shots. Whether if you jumping like fully up, you put in a lot more into the shot, and probably it'll be a lot harder for you to shoot 300 shots.
Okay, we got time for. Oh, sorry, they meant a higher arc with that, with the vertical energy transfer.
Higher arc. Yeah, with the arc, um, I was not spending that much time on the arc, but at the same time, um, I'm explaining. I'm just giving the players this visual. If this is the basket, if this is the basket, if you shoot it short, the ball is going like that. And so basically, if basket is here and my eyes is the ball from, let me see how I can make it, and my eyes are the ball, I can't see the basket that well. I can only see like very little. Rather than instead, if I increase my arc and I look into the basket, I can see more. So how to say it better? So I give the player a visual about the arc that if the ball is going higher, there are more chances that it will go in. But during the practice, very rarely I focus on this with the player. Very rarely I tell him to shoot higher, because usually I haven't faced that many players that their shot is super flat, and so that's the reason. But also this year is a good year for me to experience because Miami just setting up NOAA system in their practice facility. And so I hope I'll have some time with Yegor, where we can try Noah and where we can see the analytics, where we can see the art, we can see the results of that. Because this is again, no matter how good you are, no matter how experienced you are, there is always room for improvement. And so I feel that maybe the art can be something that I can also add to my philosophy.
Okay, we got time for one more question. How can we improve the 28% three-point shooter during the season? Or do you prefer don't change anything and just do the extra work and the repetition?
Definitely, I don't prefer just do the reps. I want to make sure that these reps they have a goal. I want to make sure he knows what we doing and what we focusing on. I don't want this to come and shoot five and make 50 shots or make 100 shots, because if that's the case, then the player may have bad habits. Let's say he picking the ball up, bringing it down, and then go back up. The player will still make 50 or 100, whatever the number you tell him, but he will not feel the progress. He'll not feel that he's doing something better. And so I would prefer figuring out what the problem, figuring out what will help him make more shots, and then during this shooting drill, we'll be focusing exactly on this detail. For example, now with Yegor, the player that's playing for Miami, he's 7 footer, and he really has NBA chances. And we definitely agree, both of us agree, and the head coach agrees too, that he really needs to be a 3-point threat too, to be able to get to the next level and to reach the ceiling. And so we're shooting off different movements. All of them are just spots, moving front, back, laterally, sometimes off pick and pop. So it's nothing crazy there. But with each shot, we focus on his release spot, because before, when he was a year ago, when he was shooting, he was bringing the ball way up here, shooting from up over his head. He shot with so much energy consuming that now we're getting his release spot to this position. And so it's there, but sometimes, it can be 1 inch higher or 1 centimeter lower. So the release spot is pretty similar if you don't work with him, and it will look like that. But where if you working with him daily, you understand that it can be 1, 2. And so with any shots that we do, if we shoot 200 after the practice, we give a pause sometimes if his brain starts to get tired just because he can't focus on it, and we just go like, okay, 30 seconds, okay, you're ready to focus on it again. And so we keep going. And so through the movement with him, I want to have this focus that his release spot is exactly where we want it to be, is exactly at that position where his shot feels effortless and where he feels that he's making more shots. And so that's his key at this point. Half a year later, it will be a different key. Half a year before, when we were in Russia top league, it was also a different key for him. And so, same if we're talking about 28% 3-point shooter during the season. Again, I don't want to just have the volume. I want to make sure he understands or she understands why we're doing it and what's the purpose. So, give me 1 second.
Awesome. I think that's great, Coach. Oh, you got a video on this or something?
I'll be quick. No, I'll be quick. I want to finish it real quick.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
No, thinking which ones to cover. Okay, so quickly, we go free throws. Again, this is something. This is just a tip that will help the player. That will help you make more free throws. So the goal is simple: create as much energy to the basket as possible. So there are 3 pictures of me here, and each one shows that first one, my feet are looking to the side, so it's already creating the energy away from the basket. 2, when I'm standing the when I'm releasing the ball, when the ball is that spot where I'm shooting it to the basket, the ball is not right in front of the rim; it's slightly to the left, and so it makes me shoot the ball not straight, but a little bit more to the side. And three, when I'm starting that lift, when I'm starting to lift the ball up, it's not right below the release spot. So it creates that line that is not straight. So instead, that's the difference. If we can turn the feet a little bit more to the basket, and again, nothing here is universal. It's you have to talk to players. So for some, for example, for me before shooting with my feet to the basket was like extremely uncomfortable. So um, the goal is to get from here to somewhere closer to this. Your feet don't have to be exactly to the basket. That's not comfortable, but at least you can turn them just a little so they're not so much to the side as in this picture. So number two, the adjustment is really small. I just moved maybe 5 centimeters to the right, and that's it. But you can see that in order to shoot the ball to the basket, I just have to shoot it straight. And three, where I'm starting to lift the ball, the position is also different. So this can allow me to create energy going straight up. So these are quick tips on the free throw and how to increase the confidence. This is something that I really wanted to talk about before we finish. So these are again some of the thoughts. One, instead of shooting to make 10 shots, instead I go sets of shots in a row. It can be if that's a non-consistent shooter, we go 2, 3 sets of making two in a row. If that's somebody who is a higher level, we go 2 sets of five in a row or 2 sets of four in a row. So with that, you can create some extra pressure on the player where it's if you need to make 10, and you made nine, and then you go five misses straight, it doesn't put more pressure on you. You just have to make one. Whether if you need to make four in a row, you made three, and the last one can get you back to zero, then it's a little bit more. The stimulus in your brain can be somewhere closer to the game. I'm not saying exactly like in a game, but closer. Then two, count swishes. All of us know that in the basket there can get 2.5 basketballs inside the rim. And so if you start counting just the switches, it automatically shrinkens the rim for you. So this way player gets more focused. He knows that his target is a lot smaller than the rim is. Then three is classic. I'm pretty sure everybody did that. If you make it's +1. If you miss, that's -2, and you set the goal, how many you go into. And also, what I like to increase the confidence is touch the player during the shooting because when you shoot, you may not feel comfortable if somebody touching you. You may start asking for a foul. You may think about the foul, but it definitely gets you out of the comfort zone. And so, all these three pictures that I have, they basically showing me touching the players. And first two is CBA China, third one is G League and I'm just touching, just making sure that they feel that there's somebody else here. My touches are not affecting the shot itself; they're not affecting the form. But this is something that can um, build players' confidence, where he feels that no matter what, if somebody contesting me, if somebody fouling me, I'm totally fine with that. So this is another thing that can boost your training, that can boost players' progress.
Awesome. Thank you, coach. I think
So
that's
that's Yeah, so
yeah.
that's the last slide for me that I'll show today. Again, this is my contact information. You can reach out to me on Instagram. There's my number for WhatsApp, email, or if you're from China using WeChat, you can also find me on WeChat. I'm there too. Anything I can do for you, that's just simply a question, or if you want to invite me for camp or clinic, or if you have a player and you need help, or if you're a player and you need help, if you want me to come to train your team, whatever. Like I said, this year is more where I'm not working with the team, so I'm open to anything. Feel free to reach out. Even if that's just a question, I'm always open. We'll be glad to answer and help.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Coach. Appreciate you, Basi. I took some notes, definitely. Coaches,
Oh,
also, thank you for tuning in. Like you said, reach out to him. I see him sharing a lot of drills online, and he's got a lot of great content. So hit him up. You got his WhatsApp now. Hit him up on Instagram, and
yeah.
hopefully you can continue some dialogue. But appreciate you taking the time.
Matt, question. My question now. Can you tell me one note that you took, the one that you liked, or just some idea about it?
I took quite a few. I got 2 pages. I'll say
Oh,
even
oh,
yeah, front and back.
okay,
I really like even just that last idea of I like the touch shooting drill. It made me even
okay,
just touching them, right? Making sure I like it for the idea of if you can hit this when I'm giving you contact, even if it's minimal contact, then you can
yeah,
hit it when there's no contact, right? It's even making
yeah,
me kind of think of more ideas. Maybe I turn that into like maybe I do foul them, but they get a couple and one shots
uh-huh,
to finish the workout or
uh-huh.
something. But yeah, I took quite a few notes, so I definitely
Okay,
like that part.
that's great.
Um, but yeah, I'll reach out to you
I'm
after this
asking.
person.
Yeah, I'm asking just because, some people who are listening, they may not pay attention or they pay attention to something else and then they hear, okay, fellow coach emphasize on this. Oh, I should pay attention to it. And also
Yeah.
another thing that I like is the reason why I'm never afraid of sharing is because there have been so many people who mentored me through my career, from Gannon to Phil Handy and Ralph Fodor, and they were never afraid to share either because whatever information you give, it's each person, like, you will take it, you will like the idea, but again, based on your experience, based on your background, you may not use it exactly how I'm doing it, but you may just get the idea and flip it to the way you like it more, the way you feel that it's more efficient. So that's the great thing about sharing.
Absolutely. That's why we do this, my man. So I appreciate you coming on and
Yes,
taking
sir.
the time and spending your own time to do this. So again, thank you. Thank you, Basie, and thank you, coaches, for
Yeah,
tuning in. We'll call it there and we'll be in touch, my man.
likewise. Okay, thank you, man.